The escape happened faster than Hana expected. While the council argued about what to do with her, two people made a choice that would change everything. Lieutenant Mina Cho was young, barely 25, with sharp eyes and quick hands. She had served on Hana's ship before the incident at Arcturus 7. She had never believed her captain was guilty. When she heard what happened in the council chamber, she made her decision. Chief Engineer Hyun Baek was older, methodical, and careful. He had spent the past 3 months investigating the Arcturus 7 massacre on his own time. What he found had disturbed him deeply. When the opportunity came to help Hana escape, he was ready. They found Hana in a holding cell in the fortress's security section. 2 guards stood watch outside. Mina approached them with confidence, showing forged authorization codes on her datapad. "Council orders," she said crisply. "The prisoner is to be moved to Research Facility 7 for examination." The guards looked uncertain. "We received no such orders." "The situation has changed," Mina insisted. "Check your secure channels. The Relic's activation of the prisoner has made her too valuable to keep in a standard cell." While the guards checked their communications, Hyun worked on the cell's electronic lock. He was good with systems, always had been. The door slid open just as the guards realized something was wrong. Mina stunned them both with a weapon set to non-lethal force. "Come on," she said to Hana, "we do not have much time." "Why are you doing this?" Hana asked as they ran through the corridors. "Because I know you are innocent," Mina replied. "And because Hyun found something you need to see." They reached the docking bay where a small courier ship waited. The ship was called the Silver Compass, a fast vessel designed for quick trips between systems. Hyun had already loaded it with supplies and prepared it for launch. Alarms began blaring throughout the fortress as they climbed aboard. Security forces would be mobilizing within minutes. Mina took the pilot's seat while Hyun sealed the airlocks. Hana strapped herself into a passenger seat, her mind still reeling from everything that had happened. The Silver Compass launched from the fortress at full speed. Energy weapons fired at them, but Mina was an excellent pilot. She twisted the ship through a pattern of evasive moves that made pursuit nearly impossible. Within minutes, they had jumped to faster-than-light travel, leaving Horizon's Edge behind. Once they were safe in hyperspace, Hyun finally showed Hana what he had discovered. He pulled up files on his datapad, displaying them on the ship's main screen. "I have been investigating Arcturus 7 since the massacre happened," Hyun explained. "The evidence against you seemed too perfect, too neat, so I dug deeper." The screen showed surveillance footage from the colony station. Hana watched her own ship approach, watched it override the defenses, watched it fire on civilians. The images were clear and damning. "This is what the council saw," Hyun continued. "But look at this." He pulled up another file, this one showing technical data. "Your ship's identification codes were perfectly replicated. Your command signatures matched exactly, but there is something wrong with the engine signature." Hana leaned closer. "What do you mean?" "Every ship has a unique pattern in how its engines work. It is like a fingerprint. Your ship's engine pattern at Arcturus 7 does not quite match your actual ship's pattern. The difference is tiny, almost impossible to detect unless you know what to look for." "So it was not my ship," Hana said slowly. "Not your ship," Hyun confirmed. "Someone built a perfect copy, or they used technology to disguise another ship as yours. But that is not the worst part." He pulled up medical scans. "I examined the bodies of the victims. Some of them show signs of void corruption. Early stages, barely visible. The kind that would not show up unless you were specifically looking for it." Hana felt cold. The void was already there, at the colony. "Yes, I think the massacre was not just a crime. It was a cover-up. Someone was eliminating colonists who had been infected. But they did it in a way that made you look guilty." "But who?" Mina asked from the pilot's seat. "Who would do that?" Hyun's expression was grim. "That is what worries me. Whoever did this had access to top military technology and detailed information about your ship and codes. This was not some random terrorist. This was someone inside the Alliance military structure." Hana sat back, trying to process this information. The void was learning to infect humans and other species from within. Someone in the military knew about it and was trying to hide it, and she had been set up to take the blame. "The Relic said the void is a weapon," Hana said quietly. "Created by the predecessors millions of years ago. It has been evolving all this time, learning." She looked at her hands, at the glowing patterns that traced across her skin. Even now, in the relative safety of the ship, she could feel things she never felt before. The universe seemed more alive, more connected. She could sense the currents of energy that flowed through space, and she could feel the void like dark stains spreading across the galaxy. "I know where the other relics are," she said. "The first one put that knowledge in my head. There are 6 more scattered across the galaxy. If I can activate them all, I can create something called the Aegis Array. It is supposed to be able to cure void corruption." "Cure it?" Mina turned in her seat. "Not just fight it?" "The relic showed me visions. The array is not just a weapon. It is meant to purge the void corruption from infected beings and ships. It can save people, not just kill the swarm." Hyun nodded thoughtfully. "Then that is what we must do. Where is the closest relic?" Hana closed her eyes, reaching for the knowledge that had been placed in her mind. Images came to her of a dead world with toxic skies and ruined cities. A planet called Keshivara. The void destroyed it decades ago, but there is a predecessor installation underground, preserved beneath the devastation. "I know that place," Mina said softly. "My uncle died in the battle there. The entire planet was consumed." "I am sorry," Hana said, "but that is where we must go." Over the next few days, as they traveled toward Keshivara, Hana learned more about her new abilities. The glowing patterns on her skin were not just decorative. They were part of a network, connecting her to the predecessor technology. When she concentrated, she could see things differently. Energy fields became visible. The structure of matter revealed itself. She also needed less sleep and less food than before. The transformation was changing her in fundamental ways. It scared her sometimes in the quiet moments. Was she still human? Or was she becoming something else? Mina noticed her distress one night. "You are still you," the young lieutenant said. "I can see it in your eyes. Whatever that relic did to you, it did not take away who you are." "But what if it does?" Hana asked. "What if with each relic I activate, I become less human?" "Then we will deal with that when it happens," Mina replied firmly. "Right now, you are the only hope we have of stopping the void permanently. The galaxy needs you." Hana wanted to believe that. She wanted to think she could stay herself while carrying this burden. But deep down, she knew the truth. The visions from the relic had shown her the final cost. When all 6 remaining relics were activated, when the Aegis Array was complete, the Protector would become its core. Living but not alive, aware but no longer free, an eternal guardian locked in service forever. She said nothing about this to her companions. Let them have hope. Let them believe there would be a happy ending. Hana would carry the knowledge of her fate alone. When they finally arrived at Keshivara, the sight took Hana's breath away. The planet had once been beautiful according to records. Now it was a wasteland. The atmosphere was poison. The cities were skeletal ruins. Nothing lived here anymore. "Where is the installation?" Hyun asked, scanning the surface with the ship's sensors. Hana pointed to a location on the map. "There, under what used to be the capital city. 3 kilometers down." "The void scoured this world clean," Mina said quietly. "How could anything survive?" "Predecessor technology is not like ours," Hana explained. "It exists partially in other dimensions. The void could not find it because it was hidden in spaces the swarm cannot reach. They landed the silver compass in the ruins of the old city. The team that disembarked was small but determined. Hana, Mina, and Hyun, plus 2 Marine corporals who had defected with them. Daesong was a weapons expert, quiet and professional. Yuna Lim was a combat medic with nerves of steel. They descended into the darkness beneath the ruined city, following Hana's guidance. The tunnels were ancient, carved with symbols that hurt to look at. But Hana's connection to the relic allowed her to navigate the impossible geometry. "Does anyone else feel like the walls are moving?" Corporal Day asked uncomfortably. "They are not moving," Hana replied. "They exist in more than 3 dimensions. Your brain cannot quite process what you are seeing." Deeper and deeper they went into spaces that should not exist, and somewhere in the darkness behind them, something began to follow. News of Hana's actions spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Some called her a hero, the savior humanity needed. Others called her a dangerous criminal who had stolen ancient technology for her own purposes. The truth, as always, lay somewhere between the extremes. The War Council fractured under the pressure. 3 entire species withdrew their fleets from the Alliance, convinced that humans were trying to seize control of the war effort through predecessor technology. The remaining counselors argued constantly about what to do. Should they help Hana activate the remaining relics, Or should they stop her before she became too powerful? Admiral Tay Park found himself in the middle of the storm. Half the council wanted him to arrest Hana. The other half wanted him to protect her. He did what he could, working behind the scenes to buy her time. But he knew it could not last forever. Meanwhile, Hana and her small crew raced from relic to relic. The third relic they found on an ice moon orbiting a gas giant. The installation there was frozen solid, preserved in ice for millions of years. When Hana activated it, the ice melted away in minutes, revealing beautiful crystal gardens that had not seen light since before humanity existed. With each activation, Hana changed more. The glowing pattern spread across more of her body. Her eyes began to show flecks of gold in their brown depths. She needed only a few hours of sleep each week. Food tasted like dust in her mouth. Her emotions became harder to feel, as if they were being muted by something inside her. Mina watched these changes with growing concern. "You are losing yourself," she said one night as they traveled to the fourth relic. "I know," Hana replied. Her voice had changed too, becoming more measured, more precise, less human. "But this is necessary. The relics are preparing me for what comes next." "And what comes next?" Hana did not answer. She could not tell Mina about the final price. Not yet. By the time they reached the fourth relic, their small band had grown. Other ships had joined them. Other believers who thought Hana represented the galaxy's best hope. They now traveled with 3 vessels and 50 crew members. Some were human. Others were aliens who had seen what the void could do and wanted it stopped. The fourth relic was hidden inside a neutron star's gravity well, protected by forces that would crush normal matter. But Hana's connection to the previous relics allowed her to create a shield that protected their ships as they descended into impossible conditions. When the fourth relic activated, something changed in the galaxy. People across thousands of worlds reported seeing golden lights in the sky. The Aegis array was beginning to form, its pieces linking together across vast distances. The void responded with fury, launching attacks on dozens of systems at once. It was at the fifth relic that everything changed. They found it on a space station orbiting a black hole, another impossible location protected by predecessor engineering. But they were not the first to arrive. A War Council fleet waited for them, led by Commander Jun Seo. He was a decorated soldier, loyal and determined. The Council had given him clear orders: capture or kill Hana Kim. Stop the relic activations at all costs. Hana Kim, Jun's voice came over the communication channel. Power down your ships and prepare to be boarded. The Council has ordered your arrest. Do not resist. Hana stood on the bridge of the Silver Compass, looking at the fleet arrayed against them. They were outnumbered and outgunned. If they fought, most of her people would die. Commander Jun, she replied calmly, I cannot stop. 5 more relics must be activated. The void is learning to infect our people from within. If we do not create the Aegis array, the Alliance will fall from internal corruption. You are a fugitive and a thief, Jun said. You have stolen predecessor technology and killed Alliance personnel. Surrender now. I have killed no one who was not trying to kill me first, Hana replied. And I did not steal this power. It was given to me. The predecessors built the protector system for this exact moment. She could feel Jun's uncertainty even across the distance. He was a good man, a loyal soldier, but he was also smart enough to have doubts. I will give you one more chance, Jun said. Surrender or we will open fire. Hana made her choice. Then fire. But know that every minute you delay me, the void grows stronger. The battle began. Hana's small fleet tried to break through to the space station, while Jun's forces tried to stop them. Ships exploded. People died on both sides. It was brutal and pointless and necessary all at once. In the midst of the chaos, something happened that changed everything. One of Jun's own soldiers turned on him. The man's eyes went black. Black veins spread across his skin, and he attacked his fellow crew members with savage strength. Void corruption, someone shouted over the communications. We have infection on board. More soldiers began to turn. The corruption spread through Jun's flagship like a disease. Suddenly, the War Council forces were fighting enemies on their own ships while trying to battle Hana's fleet. Jun realized the truth in that moment. Hana had been right all along. The void was infiltrating the Alliance from within. They needed the Aegis array. They needed her. All ships cease fire, Jun ordered. We have bigger problems. Hana's fleet stopped shooting immediately. Commander June, we can help you. My abilities can detect the corruption. I can find the infected. Then get over here, June said grimly, before my ship becomes a tomb. Hana took a small team across to June's flagship. The corruption was worse than she expected. Dozens of crew members were infected, some showing symptoms, others still hidden. Using her protector senses, she could see the dark stain of void influence in their bodies. She tried something she had never attempted before. Focusing the energy from the activated relics, she created a pulse of purifying light. It washed through the ship's corridors, burning away the void corruption wherever it touched. Infected crew members screamed as the darkness was torn from their bodies. When the light faded, they were themselves again, free but exhausted. June watched in amazement. You can cure it. The relics can actually cure the infection. Yes, Hana said, but only when the full array is active. Right now I can only cure small numbers. Once all 6 relics are activated, the array can purge corruption across the entire galaxy simultaneously. June looked at her for a long moment. The glowing patterns covered most of her visible skin now. Her eyes had more gold than brown. She looked less like the captain he knew from reputation and more like something ancient and powerful. What is happening to you? He asked quietly. I am becoming what I need to be, Hana replied. The cost of using this power. June made his decision. Then we need to help you. Orders or no orders, the galaxy needs that array. He turned to his crew. All ships, new mission. We escort Captain Kim to the remaining relics. Anyone who objects can stay behind. No one objected. They had all seen what the void could do. They had all felt the corruption spreading through their own ranks. If Hana could stop it, then nothing else mattered. With June's fleet added to their forces, they activated the 5th relic without further resistance. The space station filled with golden light as the ancient artifact awakened. Hana felt the connections growing stronger, the pieces of the Aegis array linking together across space and time. Only one relic remained, and it was located in the most dangerous place in the galaxy. As they prepared to leave, Admiral Park contacted Hana directly. His face on the screen looked older, more tired than she remembered. The Council knows what you're doing, he said. They are divided, but those who oppose you are preparing to act. You need to hurry. Where is the last relic? Hana asked. Park's expression became grim. According to our data, it is at the galactic core, inside a predecessor structure called the Sanctum. But Hana, there is a problem. What problem? The Sanctum is no longer abandoned. The Void Swarm has made it their primary hive. There are billions of corrupted creatures there. It is the heart of their territory. Hana felt a chill despite her changing nature. The last relic was at the center of enemy territory. To reach it, she would have to fight through the entire Void Swarm. Then that is where we go, she said simply. Hana, Park said. And for a moment he sounded like her old teacher again. This will likely be a one-way trip. You understand that? I understand, Hana replied. But this is what I was chosen for. The Protector must complete the mission no matter the cost. Park nodded slowly. I will give you what support I can. I am gathering the Loyalist fleets. We will create a corridor through the swarm, buy you as much time as possible to reach the Sanctum. Thank you, Admiral. Hana, Park said, his voice soft. I am proud of you. Whatever happens, know that. The communication ended. Hana stood alone on the bridge looking at the stars. Somewhere beyond them, at the very center of the galaxy, the final relic waited, along with billions of enemies in the end of her journey. She looked down at her hands. The glowing patterns pulsed steadily, a reminder of what she had become. Soon she would activate the last relic. Soon the Aegis array would be complete. And soon she would pay the final price. But the galaxy would be saved. The void would be defeated, and every person who had died to bring her this far would not have died in vain. Mina, Hana called, set course for the galactic core. It is time to end this. The chains around Hana Kim's wrists felt cold against her skin. She stood in the center of the massive chamber, surrounded by beings from 12 different worlds. Above her, the curved ceiling showed the stars beyond, endless and uncaring. This was the War Council, and they had already decided her fate. The chamber belonged to the orbital fortress called Horizon's Edge. It floated in space, larger than most moons. Inside this room, the most powerful beings in the galaxy made decisions about the war. The war against the Void Swarm, a terrible enemy that consumed entire planets and turned living beings into mindless slaves. Hana looked up at the council members. They sat on raised platforms looking down at her like judges from ancient times. There were creatures with scales, others with fur, and some that looked like they were made of living crystal. Each one represented their species in this alliance against the void. Captain Hana Kim, the lead counselor's voice echoed through the chamber. You stand accused of mass murder. 3,000 civilians died at Colony Station Arcturus 7. The evidence shows that you are responsible. Hana's jaw tightened. I did not do this. Someone stole my command codes. Someone took control of my ship. Your ship was detected at the scene, another counselor said. Its voice sounded like wind through metal. Your command codes opened the station's defenses. Survivors saw your vessel fire upon the colony. It was not me, Hana repeated, her voice steady despite the fear in her chest. My ship was hijacked. I was unconscious in medical bay when the attack happened. Someone used my identity to commit this crime, the counselors whispered among themselves. Hana could see doubt in none of their eyes. They had already made up their minds before she even entered this chamber. Admiral Tay Park sat among them, the only other human in the room. He was old now, his hair silver, his face marked with lines from years of war. He had been Hana's teacher once, had trained her to become a ship captain. Now he looked at her with sadness in his eyes. The evidence is clear, the lead counselor continued. We have reviewed all data. We have questioned all witnesses. The conclusion is unavoidable. You are guilty of these crimes against the Alliance. I am innocent, Hana said firmly. Someone is trying to destroy humanity's reputation in this alliance. Can you not see that? What we see is a human officer who murdered 3,000 innocent people, a counselor with multiple eyes said coldly. Your species has been unpredictable in this war. Perhaps this is proof that humans cannot be trusted with military authority. Hana felt anger flash through her, but she forced it down. Getting angry would not help her now. If you execute me, the real killer remains free. They will strike again. The vote has been taken, the lead counselor announced. Captain Hana Kim, you are found guilty of crimes against the Galactic Alliance. The sentence is death by neural disintegration. The words hit Hana like a physical blow. Neural disintegration was not just death. It was complete erasure. Her body would be destroyed. Her memories would be deleted from all computers, and even the pattern of her mind would be wiped from existence. It was as if she would never have lived at all. You cannot do this, Hana said, her voice shaking now. I have served this alliance for 10 years. I have fought the void on 20 worlds. I deserve at least a proper investigation. The investigation is complete, the lead counselor said. The sentence will be carried out immediately. You will be taken to the Veil Chambers. The Relic of Judgment will execute the punishment. Hana looked desperately at Admiral Park. He sat with his hands gripped together, his face showing the pain he felt. When the voting had happened, he had refused to vote either way. But he was just one person among 12 counselors. His abstention meant nothing. Guards moved forward, 6 of them in heavy armor. They surrounded Hana and began leading her from the chamber. She wanted to fight, wanted to scream, but what good would it do? She was one human woman against an entire fortress full of soldiers. As they walked through the corridors, Hana's mind raced. The Relic of Judgment was ancient technology, left behind by the predecessors. That was what people called the civilization that had existed before any current species had reached the stars. The predecessors had built incredible things and then vanished millions of years ago. They left behind ruins and artifacts that no one truly understood. The Relic of Judgment was one such artifact. The Council had discovered it centuries ago and learned to use it for executions. They did not know how it worked, only that it did. Those who were sent into the relic never came back. Their bodies, minds, and souls were erased completely. The corridors grew darker as they descended into the fortress. The walls changed from metal to something else, something that looked like crystal but was harder than diamond. They were entering the Veil Chambers, the section of the fortress where the predecessor artifacts were kept. Hana could feel her heart pounding. She was going to die, and there was nothing she could do to stop it. The injustice of it burned inside her. She had not committed this crime. She had served honorably, and now she would be erased from existence for something she did not do. The guards said nothing as they walked. Their helmets hid their faces, but Hana wondered if any of them felt doubt. Did any of them question whether she was truly guilty? Or did they simply follow orders without thinking? Finally, they reached a massive door carved with symbols that hurt to look at. The predecessor language was something human minds were not meant to read. Looking at it too long gave people headaches and strange dreams. One of the guards pressed his hand against a panel. The door opened silently, revealing the chamber beyond. The veiled chamber was enormous, like a cathedral carved from living crystal. The walls glowed with soft light that seemed to come from within the material itself. The ceiling rose high above, disappearing into shadows that seemed deeper than they should be. And at the center of the chamber, floating in the air, was the Relic of Judgment. It was impossible to describe properly. The shape seemed to change depending on where Hana looked at it. Sometimes it appeared to be a perfect sphere. Other times a complex geometric form with too many sides. Light moved across its surface in patterns that made no sense. Just looking at it made Hana feel dizzy. "Approach the relic," the guard captain ordered. Hana's legs felt weak, but she forced herself to walk forward. The chains around her wrists felt heavier with each step. Behind her, the guard stopped at the edge of the chamber. They would not go closer to the relic than necessary. The guard captain pulled out a small device and began entering codes. These were the authorization codes from the council, the commands that would activate the relic and execute the sentence. Hana stood before the impossible artifact, waiting for her death. She thought of her family on Earth who would never know what truly happened to her. She thought of the real killer, still free and probably planning their next attack. She thought of all the things she would never do, all the tomorrows that had been stolen from her. The relic began to glow brighter. The guard captain finished entering the codes and stepped back quickly. This was the end. Hana closed her eyes and waited for the erasure to begin. The light should have killed her. Instead, it wrapped around Hana like a warm blanket. She opened her eyes in shock and found herself surrounded by golden brilliance. The light did not hurt. It felt alive, curious, examining her. The guards shouted in alarm. Through the glowing barrier around her, Hana could see them backing away from the relic. Their weapons were raised, but they seemed afraid to fire. Then the relic spoke. The voice came from everywhere and nowhere, resonating inside Hana's bones and in the air itself. It spoke in a language she did not know, yet somehow she understood every word. Protector identified. Lineage confirmed. Activation sequence initiated. The golden light grew impossibly bright. Hana screamed as something began pouring into her mind. It felt like lightning running through her thoughts, burning and building at the same time. Images flashed before her eyes faster than she could process them. Maps of the galaxy showing locations marked in glowing symbols. Weapon designs that made no sense but somehow felt familiar. Mathematical formulas that described the fabric of space itself. The guards opened fire. Energy bolts struck the golden barrier around Hana but were absorbed harmlessly. The light simply drank in the attacks and grew brighter. "What is happening?" one of the guards yelled. "This has never happened before." The relic's voice rang out again, but this time it was not speaking only to those in the chamber. Somehow Hana knew the message was being broadcast across the entire fortress, to every ship, to every communication device in the Allied territories. The Protector must live. The void cannot be stopped without her. Then the knowledge truly began to flood in. Hana saw visions of the predecessors, the ancient civilization that had ruled the galaxy millions of years ago. They had been powerful beyond imagination, masters of technology that seemed like magic. But they had made a terrible mistake. They had created a weapon, a living weapon designed to consume their enemies. That weapon had been the beginning of the Void Swarm. When the predecessors realized their mistake, they created a countermeasure. The Protector System. They seeded genetic markers into various species across the galaxy, waiting for the day when the Void would return. When it did, the relics would activate, finding those who carried the ancient bloodline and transforming them into defenders. Hana was one such carrier. 1 in 10 billion humans had the genetic marker. She had never known. No one had known. Until now, the light began to fade. Hana collapsed to her knees, gasping for breath. Her entire body felt different, wrong and right at the same time. She looked down at her hands and gasped. Glowing lines traced across her skin like circuits made of light. They pulsed gently with her heartbeat, running up her arms and disappearing beneath her clothes. The chamber doors burst open. Admiral Park stormed in with a dozen soldiers behind him. His face was pale with shock. What in the stars just happened? Hana tried to speak but found her throat too dry. One of the guards found his voice first. The relic. It activated her. It called her protector. It said she must live. Admiral Park stared at Hana, his eyes wide. Then he looked at the relic, which had returned to its normal state of slowly shifting geometry. Is this some kind of trick? Some human technology meant to fool us? The relic spoke again, its voice calm and absolute. This human carries the predecessor genetic sequence. She has been chosen. 6 relics remain dormant across the galaxy. She must activate them all. Only then can the Aegis array be completed. Only then can the void be truly defeated. The Admiral's hand went to his weapon, but he did not draw it. The Council needs to hear this. They need to decide what to do. There is no decision to make, the relic said. The protector is necessary. The void swarm is not a natural phenomenon. It is a weapon that has outlived its creators. Only the Aegis array can stop it permanently. Hana finally found her voice. I can feel it, she whispered. I can feel where the other relics are. I can sense the void corruption even from here. It is like a sickness in the galaxy. She stood up slowly, her legs shaking. The glowing patterns on her skin brightened when she moved, then dimmed again. Admiral, I did not kill those people at Arcturus 7. But I know now that something terrible is coming. The void is evolving. It is learning to corrupt us from within. Before Admiral Park could respond, alarms began blaring throughout the fortress. Red lights flashed in the corridors beyond the chamber. A soldier pressed his hand to his communication device, listening to urgent messages. Admiral, the soldier said urgently, the council chamber is under attack. Something has infiltrated the fortress. They ran through the corridors, Hana running with them despite her chains. The glowing patterns on her skin provided light in the dim passages. As they moved, Hana felt something dark at the edge of her new senses. It was like a smell, but not one she experienced with her nose. It was corruption, wrongness, the touch of the void. They reached the council chamber to find chaos. 3 counselors lay dead on the floor. The others had taken cover behind their platforms. Standing in the center of the chamber was a human soldier, one of the fortress guards. But something was terribly wrong with him. His eyes were completely black, and black veins spread across his skin like cracks in glass. Void corruption, Admiral Park breathed. It has learned to infect us. The corrupted soldier turned his head toward them with movements that were too smooth, too perfect. When he spoke, his voice had an echo to it, as if multiple beings were speaking through his mouth. The protector has awakened. This changes nothing. The void is eternal. The void is inevitable. Hana stepped forward, and the corrupted soldier's attention locked onto her. You fear me, she said, surprised by the confidence in her voice. The void fears what I represent. Fear is not possible for us. We are perfection. We are unity. The soldier raised a weapon, but not a normal gun. It was something organic, grown from his own arm. You will be consumed like all the others, he fired. The blast should have killed Hana instantly. Instead, her hands moved without conscious thought. The glowing patterns on her skin blazed bright, and suddenly there was a shield of golden light between her and the attack. The energy was absorbed harmlessly. Then Hana struck back. She did not know how she did it. Her body moved with knowledge that was not her own, but felt right nonetheless. Light formed around her hand, solidifying into a blade made of pure energy. She crossed the distance between them in a blink and struck. The predecessor blade cut through the void corruption like fire through paper. The black veins on the soldier's skin burned away. He screamed, but it was his real voice now, not the horrible echo. Then he collapsed, freed from the corruption but badly injured. The room was silent except for the soldier's ragged breathing. All eyes were on Hana. She looked at her hand, at the light blade that was already fading. She had not known she could do that. Admiral Park helped her to her feet. The council will never let you go now, he said quietly. Some will want to study you. Others will want you destroyed. They will fear what you have become. Hana nodded slowly. She could already feel the tide turning against her. Even saving the counselors would not be enough. They saw her as a threat now, not a savior. Then I cannot stay here, she said. She looked at the admiral, the man who had trained her, who had believed in her once. I need to find the other relics. It is the only way to stop the void permanently. That would make you a fugitive, Admiral Park said. They will hunt you across the galaxy. I know, Hana replied. But the relic is right. This is bigger than me, bigger than all of us. The void is learning to corrupt us from within. If we do not stop it now, there will be no alliance left to save. She looked down at the glowing patterns on her skin. They pulsed gently, steadily, like a second heartbeat. I am the protector now, whether I want to be or not. The installation was beautiful in a way that made no sense. The walls curved in directions that should not exist. Light came from nowhere and everywhere at once. Hana led her small team through corridors that twisted through impossible angles, always descending deeper into the planet's core. How much farther? Corporal Yuna asked. Her voice echoed strangely in the alien space. Not far now, Hana replied. She could feel the second relic calling to her, a gentle pull in her mind like a compass needle pointing home. Maybe another kilometer. Behind them, something moved in the shadows. Hana felt it before she saw it, a dark presence that made her new senses scream in warning. She stopped walking and held up her hand. We are being followed, she said quietly. Everyone froze. Day raised his weapon, scanning the corridor behind them. I do not see anything. It is there, Hana insisted. Something from the void. Something designed specifically to hunt protectors. She had seen these creatures in the visions the first relic gave her. Void hunters. They were rare, intelligent, and nearly unstoppable. The swarm created them to kill anyone who threatened its existence. The fact that one was here meant the void knew what she was trying to do. Everyone stay close, Hana ordered. Hyun, can you boost our lights? The engineer adjusted their equipment and the corridor brightened. For a moment they saw nothing unusual. Then the shadows at the edge of the light began to move wrong. They twisted and writhed like living things. The hunter emerged from the darkness with terrible grace. It stood on two legs but moved like a predator cat. Its body was covered in black armor that seemed to absorb light. Where its face should be, there was only smooth surface with three eyes that glowed red. In place of hands, it had long blades that dripped with something dark and oily. Fire! Day shouted, and everyone opened fire at once. Energy bolts hit the creature but barely slowed it down. It moved with impossible speed, dodging most shots and absorbing others with its armor. Then it struck back. The hunter crossed the distance in seconds. Its blade arm swept out, and Yuna Lim did not have time to scream. The blade cut through her armor like paper. She fell, blood spreading across the crystal floor. No. Mina emptied her weapon into the creature, but it turned its attention to her next. Hana stepped between them. The glowing patterns on her skin blazed bright, and suddenly there was a shield of golden light protecting them. The hunter's blade struck the shield and bounced off with a sound like breaking glass. The creature tilted its head, studying Hana with its red eyes. When it spoke, its voice was a horrible scraping sound. Protector, you are incomplete, weak. The void will consume you. Try it, Hana growled. The battle that followed was brutal and desperate. The hunter was fast, but Hana was faster. The first relic had changed her reflexes, given her knowledge of combat that she never had before. She formed weapons of light with her hands, blades and shields that could match the creature's natural weapons. They fought through the corridors, crashing into walls and leaving scorch marks on the ancient crystal. Day and Hyun tried to help, but their weapons were useless against the hunter's armor. Mina pulled the wounded Yuna to safety while Hana kept the creature occupied. The relic is close, Hana shouted. Get to it. I will hold this thing off. We are not leaving you, Mina shouted back. That is an order. Hana ducked under a blade strike and countered with a blast of light that actually made the hunter stagger. The mission is more important than any of us. For a moment, Mina hesitated. Then she nodded and helped Yoon carry Yuna deeper into the installation. Day stayed behind, firing his weapon to distract the hunter whenever it tried to follow. Hana knew she could not kill this creature alone. It was designed to be nearly indestructible, but she did not need to kill it. She just needed to reach the second relic. Once that was activated, everything would change. She ran, using her new speed to stay ahead of the hunter. Day covered her retreat, firing shot after shot even though they barely affected the creature. The hunter cut him down with a casual swipe of its blade, and Day fell without a sound. Hana screamed in rage and pain. 2 people dead because of her. 2 good people who had believed in her cause. The patterns on her skin burned brighter than ever before as she channeled her grief into power. The next blast of light actually hurt the hunter. It recoiled, armor smoking where the energy struck. For the first time it seemed uncertain. You can be hurt, Hana said, breathing hard. You are not invincible. She did not wait for it to recover. She turned and ran as fast as she could, following the pull of the relic. Behind her, the hunter gave chase. its footsteps echoing through the impossible corridors. Hana burst into a massive chamber and knew she had arrived. The second relic floated in the center of the room, just like the first one had. It was a perfect sphere this time, made of material that looked like frozen starlight. Around it, the wall showed images of the predecessors, tall beings with graceful forms and eyes that seemed to hold infinite sadness. Mina and Hyun were there, kneeling beside Yuna's body. The medic had died from her wounds. 2 lives lost to bring them here. 2 people who would never see the galaxy saved. Activate it, Mina shouted as the hunter appeared in the doorway behind Hana. Do it now! Hana reached for the relic, and the moment her fingers touched it, the world exploded with light. The second relic activated with a pulse of energy that filled the entire chamber. The hunter screamed, a sound of pure hatred as the light washed over it. The creature's armor began to crack and burn. It tried to reach Hana but could not penetrate the barrier of energy that surrounded her. Knowledge poured into Hana's mind again, even more than before. She saw the full history of the Void Swarm now. The predecessors had created it as a weapon to consume their enemies. But the weapon became too powerful, too hungry. It consumed the enemies, then consumed everything else it could reach. Even the predecessors themselves fell to the monster they had made. In desperation, the last predecessors created the protector system. 6 relics scattered across the galaxy, waiting for someone with the ancient bloodline to activate them. When all 6 were awakened, they would form the Aegis Array, a network of energy that could reach every corner of the galaxy. The array would not just destroy the void, it would cure it, purging the corruption and saving those who had been infected. But the visions also showed Hana the price. The protector who completed the array would become its living core, neither dead nor truly alive, conscious but bound forever to maintain the system. An eternal guardian with no freedom, no rest, no end. Hana saw her future in that moment, and she understood why the relic had chosen her. Not because she was special or heroic, but because she was willing to sacrifice everything for others. The predecessor bloodline did not just mark genetics, it marked character. The light faded. The hunter was gone, burned away by the relic's activation. Hana collapsed to her knees, gasping. The glowing patterns on her skin had spread further. They covered her arms completely now and were beginning to trace up her neck. Are you okay? Mina rushed to her side. I'm changing, Hana said quietly. She looked at her hands. The patterns pulsed with light like a second heartbeat. With each relic, I become more of what I need to be, and less of what I was. Hyun studied the readings on his scanner. Your body temperature has dropped 2 degrees. Your heart rate is slower than it should be. The transformation is affecting you on a fundamental level. I know. Hana stood up slowly, looking at the second relic. It floated peacefully now, connected to her through invisible bonds. She could feel it in her mind, sense its location even if she went to the other side of the galaxy. 4 more relics remain. We need to find them before the void can stop us. They stood in silence for a moment, mourning Yuna and Day, 2 brave souls who had died so this mission could continue. Hana felt their loss like a physical weight. They died believing in you, Mina said softly. Believing that what we are doing will save the galaxy. Then we had better make sure their deaths meant something, Hana replied. They returned to the Silver Compass, leaving the ancient installation behind. As they lifted off from Keshivara, Hana looked back at the ruined planet. How many people had died here when the void consumed this world? Millions, billions, and how many more would die if she failed? The knowledge from the second relic told her where to go next. But it also warned her that news of what she was doing would spread. The War Council would be looking for her. Some would want to capture her and study her. Others would want her dead, seeing her as too dangerous to exist. And the void itself would send more hunters, more powerful with each relic she activated. The path ahead would only get more difficult. More people would die. And at the end, if she succeeded, she would lose herself completely. But there was no other choice. The Aegis Array was the only weapon that could truly stop the void, and she was the only one who could create it. Hana looked at the stars visible through the ship's windows. Somewhere out there, 4 more relics waited.